Nobody's watching now. Ain't no one there now. Chapter 4, The Beast. So as everyone knows, I did not like having to sign my life away and saunter off with a killer on, or any man just to live on the Isle. I did like that I could live tax-free, but to think only women had to sign this thing? Gretchen shook her head as she took a bite of pan-seared meat. She swallowed before continuing on. The part of the story that people do not know is what happened in the castle. It did not look as though it does now to people in all ruin and whatnot. You could walk up and knock on the door like any person's home, so that's what I did. Bella bit into her second biscuit as Gretchen took a moment to drink some milk. She wiped her mouth with the back of her hand and exhaled loudly before going on. Well, Leif's father Olfur answered the door by picking me up by my throat. At that point, I started thinking my plan was not as well thought out as it might have been. Gretchen laughed, but Bella couldn't see what was so funny about being choked. Ulfr brought me and bellowing, "The gods have chosen for you, boy." I later found out that Ulfr and Leif had been fighting about Leif not seizing a village girl for mating to carry on the family lineage. Bella shuddered at the thought, then realized it must have been the way since the beginning, ever since the family founded the island. Gretchen continued around bites of biscuit. When Leif saw me, it was like I had stabbed him, the pain in his eyes. Leif did not want to do to a woman what his dad did to his mom. He had killed her when Leif was a young boy, right in front of him. Leif had had time to get to know his mom, not something any of the men before him were able to do, at least for as long as any could remember. Why is it always women taken? Bella interrupted, her round cheeks reddening as Gretchen burst out laughing. I'm getting to that girl anyways. Leif was wasn't sitting well with his father at the point when I had come around, and Ulfr was right. The gods did make a choice for him, just not the one he had thought. You see, werewolves need a human to mate with because born wears... I gotta fix this. So I was like fighting the whole were. In my mind, it's like if you're doing the word, like they're wearing like an animal skin, right? They're becoming an animal, so it's like wear. So when you're taking it down for readability, you do the WEARS, but like a wear, they're wears, right? Yeah. But people were very arg about that, so now in all my books I gotta go fix it to be like that. You see, werewolves need a human to mate with because born wetters are always male. Female wetters are made, never born. And Ulfr saw me as a mate delivered to his front door for his son. Alright, there we go. Can't do an Irish accent. I'm not an accent person. I apologize. What I hear in my head is not what I'm saying. I'm just doing the best I can. Leif would not do it. He felt a woman should want to bear him a son, and when he refused to take me, his father changed into a grey wolf, bigger than a regular wolf, mind you, and turned on me. I thought for sure I was dead when Leif changed too, as big as his dawn wolf form, but a bright golden color I'd never seen before. Bella was enthralled with her story as she ate a slice of pork, less salted than what she was used to, and better for it. Gretchen's story seemed outrageous, but not more than a castle that hides as ruins thanks to magic. There I was, screaming like a banshee as a huge wolf stalked towards me while another one formed from a man who seemed to have my best interest in mind. I did the only smart thing I could think of and tried to run. She bit into the slice of meat again, only to have my back cut to ribbons by Ulfr. Leif jumped on him and the two went round about while I lay bleeding to death on the floor. When I came to, Leif had won and gave me the option of dying a human or being a beast like him. She popped the rest of the meat in her mouth and chewed. So now you're what, a werewolf? Bella thought the idea was odd, but it would make some of the stories people tell of the beast in the castle true. That is, if you could believe in werewolves and enchanted castles. Bella thought of what Leif had told her. So what about me? I could understand you not being able to return to town, changing into a wolf and all. But what about me? She thought of the roses and how they had changed. Am I cursed by the rose? Is that why it changed? She could feel her pulse rising again and began to feel panicky. Gretchen patted her hand. Nah, girl, Leif doesn't know why they're changing, but he's got someone coming out to look at it, and this woman, if anyone can get freedom from your family expectations, she can. Gretchen stood. Times are changing, Bella, and not just in the human world. She walked towards the wardrobe and opened it up to show it stuffed full of a variety of dresses, as well as pants similar to what Gretchen wore. I did not know what you liked to wear, so I had Leif order up a variety. Oh, good. I hope he enjoyed buying clothes for the fat girl. Bella flopped back against her bedding. This was my really sad attempt at making something like, for chubby girls or something. I mean, I'm kind of chubby, but I don't know. It's hard to like write it as like you're not like okay with it because I'm totally fine with how I look. So it's hard to put myself in the mindset of like, oh, I'm chunky and I'm sad about it. So yeah, it was a very sad attempt, and it kind of comes across as sad as it is. She'd always made her own clothing, learning from her mom when she was young, not wanting to go to the dressmaker in town. Her thicker size didn't bother her much, but it did enough to not share with someone who made clothing for a living. She would never let a soul know she was even a little concerned about her size, though, especially when dealing with the town Judies. But the fact Leif knew exact measurements was not pleasant news for her, and she could care less of Gretchen. And she can care less if Gretchen knew she wasn't completely comfortable with her size. Okay, that doesn't even make sense right there. I'm gonna put... Though she could care less if Gretchen knew she wasn't completely comfortable with her size. Yeah, it don't matter. I need to take that out. It's like unnecessary, blah blah blah. But the fact Leif knew her exact measurements was not pleasant news to her. Bella, you really need to stop thinking you're something you're not. Some things may be changing around here, but the idea of a beautiful woman will be everlasting. Bella looked up to ask Gretchen what she meant, but the other woman was gone, having taken the empty dishes away. Going to the cupboard, she looked in to see dresses ranging from silken garments the Trollops wore to basic aprons and dresses she wore, including her own, which was washed and fresh. Bella considered the trousers and men's shirts Gretchen had on, but figured it wouldn't look as fetching since her body wasn't as lean. She settled on a dress similar to the one she made herself, but was constructed of better material. The inner part was a simple white cotton, softer than the fabric she was... Softer than the fabric she... There we go. I think it is sewed. Is it? There we go. Oh my god. The inner part was simple. The inner part was simple white cotton. There we go. The inner part was made of simple white cotton, softer than the fabric she was sewed with, and the outer apron was a purple. Okay. The inner part was made of simple white cotton, softer than the fabric she sewed with, and the outer apron was a thicker purple fabric. Cloth. I'm gonna put cloth. It was a thicker purple cloth. The color a royal hue, more expensive than what she could afford. The color a royal hue, more expensive than what she could afford. Okay, I want to read that whole sentence over again and make sure it doesn't sound totally stupid. The inner part was made of simple white cotton. The inner part was made of simple white cotton, softer than the fabric she was sewed with. The inner part was made of simple white cotton, but was softer than the fabric she sewed with, and the outer apron was a thick purple cloth, the color a royal hue, more expensive than what she could afford. Gimme. After she was dressed, she found clips in the drawer and put her hair up with it. That was weird. Okay, after she was dressed, she found clips in a drawer in an indoor bathroom. The room was so luxurious, she spent 20 minutes alone looking in the mirror. Looking in the mirror in each drawer, how she found the clips, and even marveling at how there was a hot and cold water that would fill the tub with the turn of a knob. Bella figured it must be some kind of magic, just... There we go. Oh my god. After she was dressed, she found clips in a drawer in an indoor bathroom she could put her hair up with. She found hair clips. They had like metal clips back then that were like made out of probably like soft kind of stuff, but they did have them. After she was dressed, she found hair clips in a drawer, maybe like hair combs. No, I guess they did use clips. After she was dressed, she found hair clips in a drawer in an indoor bathroom. The room was so luxurious she spent 20 minutes alone looking in the mirror in each drawer, how she found the clips, and even marveling at how there was hot and cold water, which would fill the tub with the turn of a knob. Bella figured it must be some kind of magic, just as with the rest of the castle. She used the strange toilet and hoped no one heard her yelp when she pulled the cord, and the noise of the unexpected rushing water scared her. After all that, she returned to her room to fix her bed, only to find it made. She sat in a chair and looked out the window, but soon became bored, not knowing where the only two people who lived in the place were. Not knowing where the only two people who lived in the large Homer, goddamn. Not knowing where the only two people who lived in the large home were at, she decided finding one of them and getting some questions answered, like who was the person that, who was the person who could, Christ, so much editing, get her back to her family, and she's supposed to be there. Yes. Good night. I love you. After that, she returned to her room to fix her bed, only to find it made. She sat in the chair and looked out the window, but soon became bored. Not knowing where the only two people who lived in the large home were at, she decided finding one of them and getting some questions answered, like who was the person who could get her back to her family and when was she supposed to be there, was better than doing nothing. What do you mean everyone gets what they want? Bella could hear Leif talking loudly in the garden. She'd come out of the room and down a flight of stairs. The room designated as hers was nearly at the top of the main stair, and around the corner to see two large doors leading to the garden. This is the change you seek, Leif Kelleran. I will deal with your kin. They have no choice but to listen. Bella felt her heart skip as she neared the door and heard the strange accented voice. This must be the woman who could free me, and it sounds like she can. Bella tried not to let her thoughts get ahead of her. There we go. We need to like this bow. Good enough. So I can take the girl home then? Leif sounded truly relieved. That is not what I said, Leif. Bella heard a roar followed by a thrashing sound. Oi, come on now, you know that will not do any good. They'll only come right back. Bella peeked around the door to see Leif standing over a destroyed rose bush with Gretchen nearby. The other woman was out of sight. Crimson blossoms were scattered about the ground around their feet. She watched as the plant righted itself, the petals on the ground disappearing only to show on the flower once more. And drop the glamour. There's no need. You know Cassie can see right through it anyways. Gretchen held up her hand, showing a small wooden ring Bella had seen but not really noticed before. Just like me. It's only to hold up this stupid tradition, Leif yelled out before removing a similar wooden circle from around his finger. He threw it high and far, sending it deep into the forest. Bloody hell, now I'd have to be finding it! Gretchen ran off after the wood ring. Bella watched as the beard disappeared to show Leif shaven clean with a strong jaw and high cheekbones. His blue eyes were framed by perfect brow and golden sweeping hair, styled in a fashion Bella had never seen. His clothes too changed to reveal a fine suit, much nicer than what the men in town ever wore. That's better. His clothes too changed. His clothes changed too, to reveal... Revealing... Oh my gosh. His clothes changed too, revealing a fine suit much nicer than what the men in town ever wore. He was simply the most attractive male she had ever beheld. Stepping back, she decided boredom in her bedroom was better than finding herself inexplicably attracted to the man who removed her from her home. No, a werewolf who was hundreds of years older... who removed her from her home. Bella turned to leave only to hit a chair directly behind her she was sure wasn't there seconds before. She let out an oath before backpedaling into the open door. This must be the visitor you spoke of. Bella was shocked by the nearness of the voice of the woman who was speaking to Leif. She turned and finally saw her, towering at nearly 7 feet tall with golden hair and eyes. She seemed to shimmer for a moment, but before Bella could decide if she was really shining or if it was more magic trickery, her eyes adjusted and saw a woman did have a bright golden hair. There we go. Time to not be too wordy. She saw the woman did have bright golden hair, which made Leif's look flaxen and nearly hay-like in comparison. Oh my gosh, I can't spell comparison. She saw the woman did have bright golden hair, which made Leif's look flaxen and nearly hay-like in comparison, shining in the sun. With her sun-warmed skin exotic on the aisle and golden eyes, it did seem to make the tall woman glow. I am Casser, Belladonna. It is lovely to meet you. Bella took the outstretched hand, seeming longer, leaner in her small, plump one. I hear you are bringing change to the Killeron Castle. I thought I was going home. Bella did not know what more to say to the woman. Casser laughed. Bella, dear. She looked at Leif, who was behind her, mouth agape in the garden, then back to Bella. You have found your home. Casser walked past Bella as she stood, shocked, icy to her core over the news that Killeron Castle is her home. Leif strode into the room, stopping at Bella, the cold taking hold inside of her. He put his hands on her shoulder, and Bella looked up to see the ice on Leif's eyes swimming. He put his hands on her shoulders, and Bella looked up to see the ice of Leif's eyes swimming like floats on the loch in winter. Bella, I do not know what Cassette is talking about. I will get this sorted out. You will be with your family again. I swear it by my life. He searched her eyes a second more before he let go at calling after Cassette. Gretchen came clomping into the room. Oi, you idiot! I found your glamour ring. She huffed out, batting her hair from her forehead. Hey, what's all this about? Why you crying, girl? Didn't Cassandra get you fixed up? Bella shook her head, afraid if she spoke, the silent tears would become an outright sob. Well, girl, what did she say then? Alright. Bella looked up at Gretchen, her face hopeful, questioning. She said, Bella choked out, she said my home is here. I found my home here. She ran back to her room and slammed the door before throwing herself on the made bed. She bawled and bawled, crying for longer than she knew she could. Eventually, Gretchen's cat came in and curled up near the girl. Bella didn't care to guess how it had gotten in. She looked up to see the sun had gone down and the magic of the castle had started a fire in the hearth between the window and the bed. Figuring she must have cried herself to sleep at some point, she wished she could have just slept forever, never to wake again in the magic-filled nightmare that had become her new life. Oh, this is long.